Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic. So I haven't been making very many YouTube videos the last couple of years just because my life has been so hectic. There's been lots going on and I've been working a ton, but things are starting to settle down. One of the big changes was I moved to a new place. So I moved out to the country to a little two-bedroom bungalow. And so this is presenting some space challenges. And as you can see, I have accumulated a lot of books over the years. So I've decided to do a book purge. So now this is something I've thought about for a while. I did it with my comics. I eliminated 5 boxes of comic books, and I want to do more. And not so much purge, but more or less curate my collection. And so I want to do this with my books as well. So I'm working on the list of the first 100 books I'm going to purge from my collection. Because anyone who collects comics or collects books, over time, you pick up a book here and there that, at the time you're into, and then for whatever reason, you never end up reading it, or you end up with doubles, or just your tastes change, whatever happens, or you've read the book and it wasn't that good. So it's just more or less taking up space on the bookshelf for a better book. So I've decided this wasn't something I was going to make into a video series when I started this yesterday, but I've decided, this might be a fun thing to do for a series of YouTube videos. So I can declutter my place, plus make some new video content at the same time. So kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So a few of the books, and the other thing too, I kind of wouldn't mind having a few reminders of books that I used to own. So one of the ones I decided to start with right off the bat was this one right here. This is Slave Species of the Gods. Now, this is a book I bought years ago, and you know what? I never read this book. I think I started to read it, and it was really, really dry. And I've just read other books kind of like in the same, I guess, conspiracy field theory, like ancient astronaut theory type stuff, and it was done better. And so this is one of the ones that's going to go. The Slave Species of the Gods, right off the bat. And another one that's kind of similar to it that I want to get rid of is this one right here, The Secret History of Extraterrestrials. So this was a subject I used to be really into, was the whole UFO thing. Like, I was really into it. And this book here, I did read this one. I read it years ago, and it was a good book, but it's not like in my opinion, it's not like a collectible thing. It's not something that you would keep on your bookshelf. You're more or less buying it, not so much because you really like the story, but more or less for the information in it. And it's one of those things that I know I'm not going to read a second time. So this is one that I'm going to get rid of, because as far as the UFO stuff goes, I used to really be into UFOs. Probably from my peak interest would have been, like, I've always been into them, and I still have an interest in them, but my peak was probably from 2004 up to about 2013, I guess, 2014, and around there somewhere. And I thought about getting rid of this one by Richard C. Hoagland. And this book was very, very good. It asked some real tough questions. And so I decided to keep this one because Richard C. Hoagland, I'm a big fan of his. Back in the day, he had like a ton of videos on YouTube and a lot of interviews and stuff. A lot of those videos have since disappeared off of YouTube, which is kind of a shame. And videos with him and stuff like that is not so plentiful anymore, and his books are a little bit harder to get. So that one I did decide to keep. And so the next thing, moving on to the next genre, is I am a sucker for self-help books. So I really like the story or the book of Way of the Peaceful Warrior. And this was another one of Dan Millman's books. And this one was different in that it was more of a straightforward self-help book. It didn't, there wasn't a story behind it. It was almost more like a workbook. and I kind of went through it, and it didn't really catch me, and it sat on my shelf for years and years. So the whole self-help thing is something I kind of want to do a separate video on, all the self-help books that are on the go. But self-help books, I gotta admit, I'm a sucker for these kind of books. But this one, I know it's more or less just hogging up space, so this is another one I decided has to go. So the next one, oh, and by the way, here's Way of the Peaceful Warrior, and I absolutely love this book. And so this is a copy I'm never going to part with this one, because this was a fantastic book. Like, when it comes to, I guess, outside of what I normally read, like science fiction, horror, and all that, like my favorite book of all time is Dune. And then probably outside of that, outside what I usually read, this is probably one of my favorite books, is Way of the Peaceful Warrior. It was really, really good. And now the next one I was going to get was also another Dan Millman one, is The Life You Were Born to Live. Now this is another one I bought, and I actually loaned it to a girlfriend of mine, and then we broke up, and she had it for years. I ended up getting it back from her. And this one, it's kind of like numerology. You put in your birthday, it's supposed to somehow like map out your fate. So again, it's not like a straightforward, there's no story here. It's more or less just information and tools you can use, kind of thing. And I never bought into the idea behind it. You know, I like Dan Millman a lot, but I don't believe in everything he says and things like that. So I'm not on the same page with everything. So this is another one, and it's fairly thick. That takes up a lot of space. So this is another one I'm going to part with as well. So going on, and this was another one that I really debated whether I should keep this one or not. And this is the autobiography of John Hughes. Now, I am a fan of John Hughes movies, and this is a book, I actually started this book like 2 or 3 times, and I never did get around to finishing it. So this was another one. You know what? This has sat on the bookshelf for years and years and years now. I haven't gotten around to reading it. I don't see myself ever getting around to reading it. So this one I'm going to part ways with. And when it comes to books like this, honestly, the last few years, I enjoy these kinds of books as audiobooks than actual physical books. So this is another one I decided that it's got to go. And another one that sucks up a lot of space, and I decided to get rid of. It was kind of a cool thing. I maybe looked at this book once or twice, never looked at it again, and that is Zombies, the Ultimate Guide. So this is a guide for zombie movies. Like it goes through all the different kinds of zombie movies and stuff like that. And it was kind of a cool book at the time when I bought it. But like I said, I never really looked at it. It's one of those books, in the moment, it seems, oh, this would be so cool to have. You come home, you browse through it once or twice, and then it sits on your bookshelf for like 10 years after, and you never look at it. So this is why I'm parting ways with this one. And the other thing, these list books are almost made obsolete because of the internet and because of YouTube. So many people do list books. There's so many, like when it comes to obscure movies and stuff like that, there's always something that you can find that would give you the information that this does, but for free. So this is another one that I decided to part with. And I think there was another one. Yes, this one here, Dune, the Butlerian Jihad. So this was one, I had a buddy pick this up for me at, I think it was Value Village. And now I've already got a copy of this, and this came without the dust jacket. And it's a little bit rough around the edges, but my original intention was I was going to make my own dust jacket for this thing. This was going to be a little project I was going to do on the side. And then this sat on my shelf for years and years. And it's not like I already don't have copies of it. I've got a ton of Dune books. So I decided, you know what? I'm never going to get around to doing this. This is just going to take up space. So this is another one I decided to part with. Was this book right here. Now, another one I decided to get rid of and part with on this shelf is also this one right here. Ancient Wisdom and Secret Sex. Now, I can't remember where exactly. I found this at a used bookstore somewhere, and I don't exactly remember where it was. But this was a series of books. When I was a kid, they sold this on one of those ads that would show on TV, and you dial the 1-800 number, you order it, and they'd start sending you these books. And it was through Time Life. And so each book would be a different thing. Like this one was the Ancient Wisdom and Secret Sex one. Then they had one for ghosts. They had one for UFOs, all that kind of stuff. And the commercial for this thing was actually quite scary. And you kind of scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. And that was the thing. When I was a kid, I was really interested in all this stuff. But at the same time, it scared me. So I never really dove into it until I got older. But again, I kind of bought this just for the novelty sake of it. But again, like all the information in this book, it's all been covered to death by podcasts and things online now. Like this kind of information when it comes to the paranormal and all that is so much easier to get a hold of than, say, back in the 80s and 90s and stuff, even early 2000s. And then the next one is I've got 2 copies of the Da Vinci Code. And I do believe I got a second copy because the spine on my original one, the glue started to give out on the back. And I think this is the one right here. It started to separate. And so I wanted to replace it. Now, it kind of sucks. I like keeping the original books when I buy them. But these books, the Da Vinci Code and all Dan Brown's books, are really plentiful in used bookstores. And you can always get a new copy. I see at least 5 or 6 copies of any one of his books at any given time when I go out to places like Goodwill, Value Village, or the Salvation Army. So they're really easy to replace. So that's what I did because the backing was starting to give out. I do believe it was this one here. And I'm a fan of this series of books. And there's actually a new one coming out this fall. Yeah, see, there's the good one that it's not separating. That's my replacement copy. So this is one that I'm going to send to the wayside. That one right there. And I do believe that was everything on this shelf. See, already I'm making some room. Maybe I think this one, the Battlestar Galactica one, I think that was on the list. Another one, Battlestar Galactica and philosophy. It's not really a story, I guess. It was kind of cool. It was one of those things I thought it was cool to buy at the time, but I have no interest in reading it. I know I'm never going to get it. Even though I am a Battlestar Galactica fan, I don't think I'm ever going to read this one. And there's cooler Battlestar Galactica merchandise out there to be had than that. So that, I think, so far, is everything on that shelf. So some of the stuff that I want to keep, these historical books about Newfoundland, because I grew up there, those I'm going to keep. 2010, Space Odyssey hardcover, that I want to keep. I do have, I believe, the paperback somewhere. That I would get rid of. And this, anything that I had gotten from the Sci-Fi Book Club back in the day, this was actually part of that original 5 or 6 books or whatever they would send you for $1 each or whatever, really cheap to get you in, was this one, this old copy of Star Wars, the original. I think this is the original Star Wars encyclopedia, because it just covers the original trilogy and whatever the EU had put out at that point. So there's no prequels, nothing like that yet. So that's that shelf. Now moving on to this one. So this one, right off the bat, I wanted to get rid of this one. Alien Plot by Piers Anthony. Again, another book that I bought, with the intention on buying, but just never did get around to it. So I decided, you know what? This is never getting read. Never, ever getting read. So that one's going to go. And the other one on this shelf was this one right here. Now this one I did read. I read this one some years ago. The Haunting of Alan Mays. I cannot remember what the story was about. But basically it was part of a series of books. And it was a team of, it was a regular team of people that would constantly like go on these missions to face off against supernatural threats. So this was one of their Adventures in Long series of books. Now, it was a real slog to get through. I remember this like took me a long time because the story, I just did not find the story very interesting, and it took me a really long time to get through it. Now, I have to admit that one thing about this book, and it's one of the reasons why I bought it, is that the cover for this thing is, I love the cover artwork for this book. It's why I bought it, and it's why I really hummed and hawed about getting rid of it. But I decided, you know what, I've read it, I didn't really care for the story, and I'm never going to read it again. So I decided that one's on the chopping block as well. And that's the thing when you start doing this, there's a lot of books, you know, nice covers that you want to keep or you're tempted to keep, but you almost have to have like a strong will and not part with them as far as that goes. Now there's a few more, there were some on this shelf that I wanted to ditch. Oh yeah, down here. So another big part of my collection that I had a lot of is how to draw comic books and art books and stuff like that. And a lot of those I kind of got into collecting them. Some of them were for practical purposes, and some more were I just kind of got in the habit of buying them. So I have a lot of art books, but again, with the emergence of the internet and even digital artwork, or using digital tools to draw comics, it makes some of this stuff obsolete. And some of these books I bought and they just weren't that good. So like right off the bat, this book here, Manga for Beginners by Christopher Hart. Christopher Hart is a guy who made a lot of money making books on how to draw, but he doesn't really know how to draw himself, which has always been kind of funny to me. So this was easy. That was an easy one. That was low-hanging fruit to get rid of that one. Now I did buy one of his books like a really long time ago. I believe it's this one right here. And it's not very good, but there's just something about this book that has a lot of charm. How to Draw Comic Book Heroes and Villains by Christopher Hart. It's kind of like, it's got a charm to it that has always made me hang on to it over the years. So this one, definitely I'm going to keep. I'll just lay it down there for now. So that one's a keeper. But there's lots here that I do intend on keeping, like the Bart Sears ones that I got through the Kickstarter and the sketchbook. Those, for sure, a keeper. Any of the Hogarth books, these are like treasure troves of information. And the Jack Ham books, believe it or not, I've used these books so much as reference and drawing and all that. They're really good. But now there was another one here, Drawing Visual Illusions. I don't know why I ever bought this book. And yeah, it was on sale at Chapters or Indigo, and it was just another one of those things. Oh, it'd be kind of cool to do draw. And I never picked it. I don't even know what the inside of it is. I might have looked at this once or twice. And again, just one of those ones that's got to go. It's just taking up space. And the next one was this one right here, The Idiot's Guide to Creating a Graphic Novel. Because I have books on here that basically have the same information, but just done way better. And I think I got it because it was on sale. So again, it might have been one of these books where I kind of browsed through it a few times, but never gave it another shot after. So that one's going to go. And but because I have books here on how to draw, they're just so much better than those ones. Like Comics and Sequential Art by Will Eisner, amazing. That one's really good. You know, Dynamic Light and Shade by Hogarth again, another great book. Dynamic Anatomy. You know, he's got there's a lot of good books in there. And you know, so I gotta free up some space though. Just got it's just too much. So one more I'm gonna take off of this shelf, and it's this one here, Hidden Art of Life. Now this was a gift from someone, and I did look through it a few times, but it's just one of those ones I'm just not attached to it enough, and it's a big book and it takes up space. It's one of those ones that, yeah, I'm gonna have to let go. So I think that's gonna do it for this one, for this video. I'll make another installment as I continue to go through my books to see what is gonna go and what is gonna stay. So that's everything I have to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.